So one of the most difficult addictions for me to overcome was cannabis. Yeah. And because I had that experience with it, it's something that I read into a lot, and I watched a lot of conversations and discussions about it. And one of the discussions that came up a lot was whether cannabis was a gateway drug. And the status quo seems to be that cannabis is not a gateway drug, that the gateway drug is trauma. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still on the fence about this. Yeah. And that's just because of my own experiences and growing up. Yeah. Because cannabis was so widely available and so widely used. Obviously, you never know what's going on in somebody's home, but there were a lot of kids who used to smoke cannabis who seem to be from good homes. But I can understand where, because there were a lot of kids as well who were from good homes who didn't want to touch cannabis because of maybe the stigma attached to it, or they didn't want to take a mind-altering substance. Yeah, so I can kind of understand how you could say that cannabis is not a gateway drug, but trauma is. But I wonder about pornography, because pornography is not that much of a mind-altering drug, and there's not a lot of stigma attached to it. Yeah, and if you're young, and even if you are from a good home, where you might not have a natural primal drive to take cannabis, you will have a primal drive towards sex and intimacy. And if you're a young kid and you've got access, which is readily accessible pornography, you don't need to prove your age or anything. It's just one button that says, are you over 18? So I wonder if pornography can actually be a gateway drug. Yeah, because it does over time. It alters your mind. You might start off using it for pleasure, but then you might go to school one day and get upset, and then you come home and you use it to make yourself happy again, or you use it to procrastinate, or you're happy and you celebrate with it. So I wonder if that can be a gateway drug, and is this something that parents should be aware of and therefore have that conversation with their children?
Yeah. Okay. So break this down. First of all, the gateway drug thing.
Yeah.
The way I would hold this is that most things in life can be a medicine, and most things in life can be a poison. So it's really about the individual and the relationship they have with it. Yeah. So if they are, of that kind of disposition, if they have an addictive personality, if they've got unresolved emotional baggage, if, there's some other need not being met, then of course porn brings pleasure, and all of those things can attach to it as a means for self-soothing. Yeah. So of course it can be a gateway. Trauma isn't necessarily the gateway drug always. Yeah. But I think in many cases it can be. But I think we have to be careful not to kind of oversimplify, so to speak. Trauma can look like many different things as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be a newsworthy event. So it could just be, a parent's absence. It could be, the experience of a young child having a difficult mindset and not having anyone to talk to about that. Yeah. So these unmet needs can be experienced as trauma. And of course, they all contribute to looking outside of ourselves for something to kind of fill that gap. But we're not always doing that. So some people may have just a kind of charmed life, if you like, and then they discover porn or, whatever it is, and it adds something. And we always want to add something. We're never quite satisfied where we are. We always want to add something. If we've got a private jet that can fly at, 10,000 meters at 600 kilometers an hour. You know, we'll want one that can fly at 50,000, that can go without, you know.
Yeah.
You know, we always want the extra bit.
Mm-hmm.
So it can always be an addition.